Good morning, folks, and as you can see, this panel is bonded in place, and I've already moved everything that was over here over to this side in preparation for installing these two panels. And I've got this one clamped in place. This is the forward panel, of course, for the left hand side. Remember, the boat's flipped over, it's upside down. Port side, okay, if you insist. But I've got it laid in place now, and I'm getting ready to make my initial measurements, and I need to get this panel marked and cut just like I did the other side. And so yeah, that's where I'm at with this one. Now, I said I was going to explain this gap right here. Well, that's poor planning on my part, and what I mean by that is I designed this boat to have a 52-inch wide bottom width. If I had been thinking ahead last year when this was in the planning stages, I would have designed this boat to have a bottom width of 48 inches. That way I could just split 2 sheets of plywood, and I would have had 4 pieces, which would have given me enough for the front section and the aft section. But because it's a 52-inch wide bottom, I ended up with half sections that are 26 inches wide. And so what that meant was when I went to split the plywood to get that 26-inch section for the forward end up there, it left me with a 22-inch wide piece. Now I could have just gone and ripped 4 sheets of plywood, but well, then that just uses up a lot of plywood, and that leaves me with a lot of scrap. So to minimize the amount of scrap, I decided to go ahead and just bond these 22-inch pieces in place. I will make a filler that will go in right here, and then when this filler's bonded in place, and I've already got the fillers made, and I've got them scarfed up there to go up underneath that forward panel. But once I get those bonded in place, I'll pack this edge real good with epoxy, and then I'll lay a cap over it. And that cap will extend past this edge by about a ½ inch on both sides. It'll end up being about a 5-inch wide cap, and that cap will extend all the way up to the front of the boat where it starts to make the bend up by the bow. And that'll kind of again help kind of break up this flat area. It'll serve 2 purposes. It'll kind of cover up this little this area right here where I'm going to have this plug, for lack of a better term, and plus it'll be cosmetic, it'll be decorative. It'll kind of help just like I said, to break up this flat panel. And I'll also have strakes on the bottom of the boat as well to like I said, break up just the bottom, just to break up that flat panel. And so that's it. We're moving on to the other side now. And well, yeah, if I had this to do all over again, yeah, I would have designed it with a 48-inch wide bottom width. But I do feel like this is a good workaround, and it's not going to compromise the structure any. It's not going to weaken the bottom. It's not going to cause any leaks or anything. I'll have these pieces bonded in. They'll be nice and secure. Like I say, I'll just have to put a little cap over it on here on both sides when that's all said and done. Alright folks, welcome back to the channel, and as always I do thank you for watching. And like I explained in that last video, I got this panel now for the opposite side. I've got it up here and making my cut marks. And as you can see, the first one I'm going to tackle is right over the keel beam. I've got this line marked. I'm going to make that cut, and I'm going to be sure to leave myself plenty of material so I can come in and sand it back if I need to, so I don't cut away too much right there. And it's going to be on that most inboard line right there where my edge of my finger, tip of my finger right there. I'm just moving right along that line where I'm going to make that first cut. And once I get that little piece cut and out of the way, I'll be able to set the front of this panel down on the bow and do just like I did over here. Get this angle right here, Got to do the same thing over here. Got to get this angle established and then cut that piece off. And then once I get it to where it will fit down onto the structure, then I'll be able to mark off for the side panel right here where it's going to bond to the sides. And so that's what I'm working on now. I will see you in the next segment. It is time for me to shut down and head off to work. May or may not get out here this afternoon. I took a little bit of vacation time today, but I don't know. I will play that by ear when I get home tonight about 7 o'clock. All right, folks, next segment. Okay, folks, I got this inboard edge trimmed where it's going to fit over the kill beam. Let me press that down by hand here. Okay, there we go. A little bit of a tight fit right there at the bow, but that's fine. As you can see, that gap right there, there we go. That gap right there, it's consistent all the way to the back. And that took several hours of hand sanding to get that gap to where it was nice and even like it is right now. And all I'm going to do is, when I get ready to attach this panel, I'm just going to go ahead and bond it right away to the keel beam all the way down. I'm not going to tack it at the keel. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and pack that full of epoxy and just go ahead and make it solid. And the reason for that is because I don't have access to these bays over here to put clamps in place like I did over here. Of course, now, yeah, Captain Obvious, you got the panel in the way right now, but like I said, when I put these panels on, I was able to go into these empty bays right here and clamp this panel in place. But to attach this panel, I'll have to come up with a little bit different game plan. Probably going to have to do something like what you're looking at right there, and I'm just going to have to put a lot of weight on this panel to hold it down after I put the epoxy in place. But first, before I do that, I've got to do the same thing I did to the other side. As you can see, the wood is bare and untreated, so I've got to go in here and wet it all down with the fiberglass resin, and that, like I said, that helps with the waterproofing. All right, folks, I will see you in the next segment. Okay, I'm back. I went on ahead and pulled the panel off and just laid it over the back end right there. And like I said, I've got to get all this wet down with resin. But one other thing I have to do before I bond that panel in place, I've got to scallop out a little small amount of material at each rib all the way to the back. I'm going to put a garboard drain at the back of the boat, and that's to enable me to drain this compartment right here if water ever gets in it. Of course, I'm going to have a bilge pump here, but also would like to have a drain running from this compartment all the way to the back of the boat. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay in a little piece of small PVC tubing. Like I said, I'm going to have to cut an opening right here for that, and that'll just help me to drain this compartment if it ever gets waterlogged. So that's going to have to get done before I put these panels on, and it's just a little bit extra work, but it shouldn't take too terribly long. Okay, folks, I will see you next segment. Okay, folks, I got all that wet down right there with the resin, and this is as far as I'm going to go with this tonight. I stopped right here because I still have to bond the stiffener to this stringer right here like I did on the other side, and I'll take care of that sometime this week. And I think I've got a little bit of sanding to do. Let me move this pan out of the way here. I think I've got a little bit of sanding to do to the bottom sides of these stiffeners right here. Let me follow my fingers there with the camera. They're still sitting a little bit high. When I run a straight edge across here earlier from the keel out to the side panel right here, it was rocking a little bit on these stiffeners. That's fine. I'll sand them down. I don't think they're going to be sanded very much to get it nice and flat. But that's it for the night. Like I said, it's just a matter now of just letting the stuff dry overnight, and then hopefully I will be able to get out here sometime this week and get that first panel bonded in place. Okay, folks, that is it for the night. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.